common house finch. Hello and welcome back to Dime to Diamonds. I am Suzanne Porske with Phoenix Financial Group, and I'm joined today by
Mark Farquhar with Phoenix Financial Group.
Rochelle Harp, Harper County.
Welcome back, guys. Well, you survived tax season.
I did. It was really busy, yes, which was fantastic. But I am excited to get back out and see people and talk and not have my head down.
Yes, I'm sure.
I'm very happy. Yeah.
Well, today we're going to talk about a blog on the website, phx.financial, and it was lessons from tax season. I can think of no one better I would have this conversation with than you. Yes, and then turning all the insights into action.
Right.
With April being Financial Literacy Month, there's also a couple blogs about that. I find it so important. I had a client yesterday talking about that is just definitely on his heart, is the financial literacy. He's on the youth side. I'm all about that, but have a huge heart for women. And I'm going to go off topic here just a little bit, but the women who put their head in the sand. Ladies, I'm telling you, statistically, men transition before women. I get that men have and still do historically take care of the wife and the family. That doesn't mean that you bury your head in the sand, especially when you know when things keep coming up in opportunities to learn and they're right there before you and you are intentionally burying your head. I have found in life, usually when those things come up, it's because there's going to be a transition that takes place, whether it's an illness with somebody, you're going to have to know, or maybe you're going to be used to help educate somebody else.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things where for my clients, I really encourage the husbands to bring in the wives if they're not coming in anyways. I don't need you to understand all the tax lingo, but I also want you to be comfortable because my first season out, an elderly woman came in and she had just moved from Stillwater. Her husband was going to a memory facility. But up until that point in time, he had took care of all the financial information. And she came and was almost in tears because she didn't want to go back to the CPA that he used because he talked down to her. And the reality is, if you've never done something, how are you supposed to know how to do it? And so it was one of those just taking the time and just saying, okay, well, just bring me everything and we'll organize it. And then next year we'll do better. And we did. But it's one of those, like, she didn't have to be in tears at that point in time. She was dealing with so much other things that was stressful and emotional that if she had been going to those appointments, which again, she might not have wanted to go because she probably felt that she was left out. She probably felt she wasn't talked to in the meetings. So I would encourage husbands, like, if you feel your wife doesn't want to go, ask her why. Maybe it is that you need to find someone different that can hear both of you, or at least talk to both of you.
Well, and I know for myself, and this has been my heart, is that women will come in either before, during, or after that transition, whether it's a divorce or it is, they've passed away, and they haven't felt heard by that male advisor. In our industry, it is typically very heavy with white male. That's just how it's always been. When I started at the bank, a woman had to have her husband there to come in and open a bank account. Women, when we got into the workforce, were school teachers, secretaries, and bank tellers, and then new account and operations and stuff like that. We were always not in that leadership role or an owner of a business for the most part. And so now that's changing, and these women are, right now we're in the largest transition of money in the United States that's ever taken place because of baby boomers. And these women are not being heard. They feel like they're being talked over. And I get it, because a man's, your role is different than my role. And like we were talking about this yesterday, he'll tell me, if anything happens to me, make sure Kim is taken care of.
Yeah. Our main goal is our wife. Make sure, and we don't really.
A happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. Right.
True statement.
It's a true statement. Wives go even further. And so
that's him, and he's different because he's definitely, you guys are very
the wife isn't going to, that's not her way of, okay, I'm okay now. And she's done. She wants to even,
Well, they're making sure they want to take care of their kids, their grandkids, the church,
right?
The fur babies. Like I asked you yesterday, do you know what will happen to Bingo? Do you have a plan? Bingo's the dog. I think he takes care of bingo.
He's in trouble if I go. All I got to say.
But typically the women are thinking about that, not the men. And I was kind of giving some point in case of like, it's like I'm constantly thinking not about tonight's dinner before I left today, but tomorrow and the next day, Saturday, Sunday. Right. You guys are just real linear, and that's fine. That's where women are saying we need somebody that, not that they want to learn it to do our job. They want to understand it so they don't feel completely lost. And they don't want to be talked to.
Right.
They want to be talked with. And yesterday I was had a client in here, our last client of the day, and she said, it's so refreshing that you talk with me and you don't talk to me. And you explain things, but not to teach me to take over, but so I understand.
Right.
And I think that's a lot. That's the big shift that's going on. So
also in our meetings, it's awesome to not only do the planning to where the husband's happy, but also ask the wife, what are your goals? What do you want to see, on down the road as well? And then it just works so well. You just have that plan not only for the husband's what he wants, but then you get into the spouse and go even.
I've yet to be in a meeting that one of them isn't surprised of what the other one wants, because it's not a general conversation you have.
Right.
You don't wake up saying, hey, by the way, if something, that's always been a pleasant surprise for me to watch that communication happen. It's nice when we kind of get a little bit of a heads up. She'll say, hey, can you bring this topic up, or because I definitely, we want to have that discussion. I don't know how to bring it up. And I've even had the husband say that, hey, if you could slowly kind of go into this conversation and open that for us. And yesterday clients, they'd been married, they're married 56 years. And they were still pretty stunned. I watched his face as she said stuff, and her face as he shared stuff of what they want. And it's not, they haven't been married to anybody else. So, because sometimes those conversations, when you've had second marriages, you're like, who did you just say you want to get what? So, okay, let's get back on topic. Lessons for tax season, turning insights into action. Common gaps in record keeping. Do you find that people have...
I think it's common gaps, as well as people procrastinate because they just want to bury their head in the sand. They want to push it off. But one of my clients, one of the best things that she says, I have this folder, and every time I get a tax document, I just slide it right in there. That way, when I come to you, on the 15th of January, it's all there. It's for you to figure out. And, so it's one of those, I think it's being proactive ahead of time, which makes it less stressful, because I think that's really what it comes down to, is people push it off because it's stressful. They don't want to deal with it, those different types. But if you're organized, or you have a place to put it, even if you don't have to look at it, you just have a place to put it, I think it gives that peace of mind.
Mine is so ridiculous, it's embarrassing, but I have mine chronologically, every single receipt for every month, and it's in a sandwich bag.
Yeah.
But it says, January 2025, and then it's chronological, so when I go to my Quicken, I can go, okay, and then I try to, while I'm there or before I put it in that folder, put what it was for. So like ME, meals and entertainment, or whatever category.
Right.
And it is a pain in my butt, but I always am so relieved afterwards. So relieved that I have that. And then once in a great while, we'll have a receipt that I don't have, and it's just such a knock to my ego, because I'm like, no, I save all that stupid stuff.
I try really hard. Yeah, it's always those diligence things, but if you do it from the get-go, it can be less overwhelming. Yeah. But could you imagine going through all of those receipts? I don't know, April 1st?
No.
I mean, would you even want to at that point in time? And I think that's where we come into play, is being proactive throughout the year.
Right. And I did, when I was a victim of identity theft, and then the IRS, because of being a victim of identity theft, there was no taxes filed for quite a few years. So there was over $500,000 earned in my name. And so I had to prove, unfortunately, in our world, whether we like it or not, you have to prove your innocence. I had kept all my receipts, and I had them actually stapled to a piece of paper for 365 days. That's when I was really crazy. And I had whatever was on my tax returns, that category was on that front page. So I would put what that was for. Again, this is also before Quicken. Um, but when the IRS asked me for record keeping and I showed up with binders and boxes, I was like, okay, you got enough room in your car? Because I did this. It sure helped me have peace of mind and let them know that, yes, I am serious about it. And I'm not going to ask other people to do what I don't do, so good record keeping is definitely important. I'm not perfect, that's for sure.
Nobody's perfect.
Right now, we're hearing a lot about tax returns. And for me, I don't usually share this with my clients, but my goal is not to have them have a lot of money come back. If we've planned right and done it right, you should not owe anything extra and you should not be getting a big tax return because we're not doing it once a year.
Right.
We are proactive every quarter and looking at things, correct?
Right. Correct. So the ultimate goal is to have a net zero, right? That means you planned it perfectly. Unfortunately, we're in a real world, and real world doesn't work that way. But yes, when you think about it, it's all about opportunity cost, right? And that's how we're trying to look at things. So I do have a few clients that's their vacation money, and so that's what they use it for, and that's totally fine. They know that they're not self-disciplined enough to put it in a savings and not touch it, so they set it there so that they can have vacations. But
so they're using the IRS as their savings.
Correct.
Okay.
But for everybody else, you got to think that while that money is sitting there with the IRS is earning interest, and you are not.
Right.
They are using your money, and you're not able to use it. So in reality, net zero is best. But when we owe, it's really not. As long as it's low, it's not a big deal.
Right. So in the blog, it talks about what to do with those tax refunds. What are some of the opportunities? So build an emergency fund if you don't have it. Or like you said, vacation.
Put it in savings, invest it. Use it as this one guy called it his gambling money, but he would invest it in stocks, but not necessarily.
Well, because it's legalized gambling as well.
Yes. So, there's a lot of opportunities to increase your wealth, to pay down debt. That's another good opportunity to do a big chunk and get some high interest debt paid down. But it's also okay to use it for fun.
Yes. Better yourself. It says, maybe, I don't know if you've had appliance problems, tackle some maintenance costs that you've been putting off. We had somebody that had needed a new fence.
Mm-hmm.
And
couples could down payment on a house.
Yeah.
Right.
If they do it right. So.
And like you said, invest that extra cash. Just be mindful. Right now, stocks are on sale. I'm not sure they're not going to go more on sale. Now that we're in spring, taxes are back behind us, and we're now already past the first quarter. They should already be looking at 2026 taxes. But the digital financial organization, that was one of the best things I did for myself was Quicken, QuickBooks.
Yep.
Do you recommend that?
Yeah, I definitely recommend some type of app. Whether it's, some of the big, larger ones or even some of the free ones where you're able to track your spending and understand how you're spending your money. Because I think a lot of people underestimate how much you might be spending at a Starbucks or spending at Walmart or maybe the cookie shop. I don't know, whatever your vice is. And not to say that you can't go and have that occasionally, but maybe you should rein it in. But you're never going to know where you're at unless you take a look at it. So using those apps.
Yeah, people... They say they can't invest money, and then you sit down with their budget, and they're like, "Oh my gosh! I mean, you got."
You mean you create their budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, do what? Now?
You identify their budget for them.
Their budget.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, you find the money that they don't know they have. I mean,
that they're spending on stuff that they're not even you're not even cognitive of. Sometimes that you're out and about and you swipe that card.
Dutch Brothers coffee.
Yeah.
Well, this is not confession, but yes.
Sorry.
Hey, you know what? I wonder even the plastic cups that you get from Dutch Brothers, if we can recycle those or something.
Yeah, probably could.
We need to have a Dutch Brothers cup that you bring, kind of, how like QT in different places?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe you need to propose that to them. I don't know. Fraud protection checkup. This is a super great time to look at those passwords and also really make sure that, I know for me, I do use credit cards for their points, but they send me a notification every time it's used.
Right.
Whether it's me or it's an auto subscription membership thing, I get notified.
Right.
And yeah.
Don't do anything by text. I've seen that so much lately. People get like the latest ones.
IRS, don't they text you?
No.
The Turnpike Authority.
They will send you a letter. Nobody's going to call you and say, "Hey, wire us some money."
Yeah.
The U.S. Treasury does not do that.
Right.
You get a letter.
So let's talk about because my husband was getting those really a lot.
There's the biggest one lately I've seen is Turnpike
Yes.
Turnpike text. I'm like, I can log into my account and go make that payment. I don't know why, you know what I'm saying? I know people are like, oh my gosh, I owe money. But I just don't do anything with text because you don't know who it's coming.
Well, when it says
So-
Linda's luscious lips at Outlook, I'm sorry, Linda. I don't know you. You don't have access, and I don't think you're paying my $4 Turnpike bill that's due right now. But I get that it's a very low amount, so somebody might want to do that.
Well, so I don't even click on the links from like PSO or those that come through email because you never know.
Just log into your account.
It's not because you're moving through quick. Yes, open up your tab, go to your account, log in, and put your information in. And so I agree with the text. Don't do it through the text.
Right.
Do it, go and log into the account.
Yeah.
Go to your app and pay through the app. That way you know that you're going to the actual place.
Right. Fraud is so bad right now, but if you're financially organized, you can stay on top of that stuff.
And that's a lot of the times I'm like, I don't even have an account there. I don't know how you got my information, but I don't have an account there. So I'm definitely not making the payment.
Another one's like PayPal. One was I purchased some crypto on PayPal. I'm going, it looks legit.
It looks very good.
Talk about, and then your virus stuff on your computer. They're always sending me invoices through email and text going, your virus is expired. You need to send this money right away. So anyway.
On vacation last week and got a notification that my American Express card was used at Instacart. So I asked my daughter, I said, oh, what do we haven't delivered? And she goes, nothing. Man, my whole world stopped. I dried myself off. We're out by the pool. I'm like, so here's a timeout. I got on the phone with American Express and they said, well, you need to call Instacart. Got on Instacart and filed a complaint. I go, somebody's using my card. Because we're out of our normal. And so, we're out of state. And I'm like, okay, so somebody got a hold of this. So got my feathers ruffled to find out it was my annual membership.
Okay.
And it was $103.45. So it doesn't look like an annual membership. But did you know they tax your annual membership on that darn thing? It was $99. I go, if it's $99, I could have probably put the math together easy. I wouldn't have taken 45 minutes out of my vacation to chew people out.
But the annual prescription or subscriptions are also something to be checking because how many times are you paying monthly or are you paying for subscriptions that you're not even using anymore? So even if you're not, like this would be a great month to go and say, look through your whole bank statement or your credit card statements and highlight Amazon, highlight Sam's Club, highlight all these ones that we have.
Amazon, I'd need a couple of highlighters, but okay.
But,
I know what you mean.
To say, do I use this and should I be paying for it?
Mine is the subscription of the Paramount Plus and the Netflix because we don't have.
The kids had like a few years ago, like what is going on? I keep getting these, Apple charges and it's like apps I didn't know I had on my phone or the kids' phone and the kids are getting it and it's for school and it's like, $50 a year, but it's still like, what was that? I mean, so check your phones too, because, in the settings on what subscriptions.
What subscriptions? I found that one day and I'm like, oh my gosh. I know, subscriptions that are just, like you just said, you don't realize you get on them. And you think, oh, I'll hop on and see what it's about and get on.
They do the 5-day free and you forget to,
You got to put your credit card in there so that when you forget.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. All right. Also, this is a great time to do insurance checkups and beneficiary checkups. Absolutely. I tell people, whether it's
if you moved your address
or something's happened there different, make sure to change those beneficiaries. And adding people on accounts. I get, now that we're talking about beneficiaries, I get these single women that go put their daughters on their account. And then the daughter goes through a divorce. So in that divorce, because she is a co-owner of those assets, they get split. Mm-hmm. So that's where you put them as a beneficiary and you get a trust. And you make the daughter the executor of the trust or that's
a lot of people are transferring assets into their kids' names, but just because they want it, an easy transition later. But the best way to do that's trust, because like you
When
said,
I was a victim of identity theft, as soon as I found that out, I immediately, because my parents had me as an added signer on their accounts, and said, take me off of absolutely everything. No association with me whatsoever, because I don't know how far and deep it's gone, and what, if they've stolen my identity, they can then get a hold of your accounts because they're acting as me.
Correct.
And so you just have to be careful. That's where, again, estate planning, I can't stress that enough, but simplify spending by tracking it and spreadsheets. But again, I think that's where
I think the apps
do that really well now.
Yeah, that the technology today, an app might be a little bit more convenient for people because you're able to. Everybody has their phones all the time, and yes, they can quickly pull it up. Versus spreadsheets, you're going to go and put it in there, so you have to be diligent to do that.
Every month, you can look at it. Hey, what am I doing this week? Or it's true.
Yeah, in the blog, I put a couple of them on there, like Pocket Guard, Spendy, Good Budget. You Need a Budget, which is YNAB. That is a paid subscription, though. Again, I've always used Quicken and then went to QuickBooks. Automate their savings. This is a good time to automate savings.
Yeah, and a lot of people probably aren't aware, but a lot of companies have the option where you can automatically request to have, 80% of your check goes to this checking account and the other 20% goes to this account. And that's a great way to force that. Right. If you never see it, you never spend it, you never miss it.
Discipline yourself.
Yes.
To do that now, yeah.
So, that's a good opportunity to say, go talk to your HR and say, hey, do you have this? Because I want to do it. And maybe it's not 20%, but you could do something.
And talk to your financial person. That's where, if you go to an Edward Jones, and I'm not calling any certain company out, but if you go to places that are transactional like that, you're not getting the holistic education that we provide, that small boutique investment firms advise. HSAs are a huge blessing if you have those available at your.
Right.
The next best thing is FSA. If you have children, those have to be managed. They're a use it or lose it. So if you're going to have that taken out, make sure that you're using it. Get really active in that. But the HSAs are fantastic. And I tell people, now I'm this age, 59 and a half. This is a time to really get active in not overfunding, but properly funding the HSAs and getting ready for retirement, because that HSA can be used to pay your Medicare supplement plans and all that kind of stuff. But that's automating your savings. And then a lot of companies match.
Correct.
And then they go, what does that mean? That means you're getting 100% rate of return.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your money's going in tax free and you're spending it tax free.
Correct.
So you got more bang for your buck.
Correct.
So HSAs, I can't say that enough.
Anytime a company is willing to match on whether it's HSAs, retirement, any other opportunity that they are willing to match, you should take advantage of that, because that is free money to you, essentially. Yes, you have to spend that to get it back, but consider it part of your compensation.
Right.
It's just a great opportunity. Take advantage of it.
I know back in the day when I was working at the bank, Bank of America, we did Christmas club accounts. So we just would set that up, that it would come out of their checking account into a separate savings account, and never had any of them that were like, gosh darn it, I've got an extra couple thousand here. When it came time at Christmas. They loved it. And it's just working. But this is a good time now that we're in the financial literacy month, even though we're on the last day of April. It's just some good best practices. And you can, if it is like a Christmas save, you can get into it if you've got an emergency. There's no penalties, but now's a good time to review investment strategies.
Right.
This is to me kind of the time of year where we check our batteries on our smoke detectors on time changes. This now that spring is here, it's a good time to do financial spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Right.
Setting up some new good best practices, and money talks, family money talks.
Oh, yeah. And people shouldn't shy away from having those conversations. I feel that they have been very taboo overall of, you never talk money. Nobody asks anybody else their salary, do that kind of stuff. But if the two of you, if you're married, but even if you're single, if you're not working towards a goal or know the goal you're working towards, how are you going to get there?
Right.
So having those conversations is the only way to get the ball rolling, because you can't start until you actually have the conversation. And then at that point, we got to have a plan. And now how do we enact the plan?
Right.
And that's maybe where you have to start talking to someone with a specialty to help you get that plan achieved so that you reach your goal in the time frame you want to.
Right. Absolutely. And children of all ages needing exposure to financial literacy concepts. And you've got a whole brood of children, and you do so good. We've even had Mason in on our podcast talking about what a great job
It's
he's
just
doing.
talking with them. I mean, it's not nothing magic, but just communicating. So,
Right.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger pieces with that is the education piece, the having the conversations, but also showing them how to do that, right? So, if they have an allowance or they have things where they do for chores and they get money, maybe they get 80% of that and you keep back 20% for taxes. But then you could set that in a savings for your child. And if that started when they're 10, imagine what kind of money they'll have to start out when they graduate from high school. So it's one of those, it's an opportunity to teach them something, but also an opportunity to save and have them have a good start. So there's just a lot of different opportunities with children to show them how these things work, where a lot of families don't do that.
Right. I think it's a good time now that we're getting into a new month in May to set a 30-day financial challenge. So I encourage you to get on the website, phx.financial, go to the blog on financial literacy, and take this. And it says in here, like, action steps for the next 30 days. Week 1, just review your tax return and set one financial goal, just one. Week 2, organize digital and physical financial documents. We have a folder that we put, an estate planning folder. That's how we equip our clients. It has tabs. Just put it in there. Like you said, your client has a folder. So any tax documents, put them in there. Week 3, create a written or digital budget.
yeah.
And week 4, have a money talk with family and review your investment strategies. So that's going to be about it for today. Kind of running out of time. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I always enjoy coming and having conversations.
I know, and I love being
getting
here.
out, so it's fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, this is Dime to Diamonds, Phoenix Financial Group. I am Suzanne Porske, founder and investment advisor. And
Mark Farquhar with Phoenix Financial. You can catch us on phx.financial. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm glad you got your piece in. Rochelle Harp Accounting.
Thank you again for joining us. And if you have any questions or would like to reach out to any of us, we are available on all platforms. And stop in the office at any time. We are in downtown Broken Arrow off of Main Street in Rose District. We'd love to have you in, or to one of our workshops. We hold these regularly, so check the website under the events tab to find us there. Until next time, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us, and bye-bye.